From giant planes to colossal rocket movers, the world's biggest vehicles have unique capabilities. Join me as we take a look at 15 of the largest vehicles ever designed. Number 15. Gillig Transit Coach School Bus. Many of you were probably transported in a yellow school bus to school at one point or another, but if you went to a very high-capacity school, then there's a decent chance you were brought to school on a Gillig Transit Coach School Bus. Considered to be the largest school bus to ever be commercially produced, it was a true monstrosity, as it was 12 meters long and could fit up to 97 kids. Being produced for 42 years between 1940 and 1982, it primarily serviced the west coast of the United States and was known for its reliability. However, in 1982, the school bus industry had an overall decline, and this, along with other supporting factors, led to the discontinuation of this incredible line of buses. Number 14. The AN-124. The rapid transport of troops and cargo is vital for any military, and the AN-24 is often the vehicle that performs this duty for several different countries. Being one of the largest cargo planes in the world, it truly is a piece of expert engineering, as it not only supports 24 wheels to facilitate takeoff, but houses a cargo bay that surpasses the size of a basketball court. Able to carry a maximum load of 150 tons and having a maximum passenger capacity of 88 people, it's clear that it really can fit a small army. Now, to facilitate all of this baggage, it has two main cargo compartments in addition to numerous smaller compartments in the front and back of the aircraft. To top it off, the AN-124 has crane winches and other support structures built into it, allowing it to land and unload without external support. So it's not a surprise that the AN-124 is a valuable asset to any military. Number 13. NASA Crawler Transporter. Whenever NASA makes a large spaceship or rocket, they face the daunting task of not just launching it, but physically transporting the monstrous vehicle to the launch site. In order to ensure that this is possible, NASA has two crawler transporters that are able to get the massive ships of practically any size from point A to point B. Completed in 1965 at a cost of around $14 million each, the two crawlers, which are nicknamed Hans and Franz, measure in at nearly 131 feet in length, 114 feet in width, and about 20 to 26 feet in height. And at the time of construction, they were the largest self-powered land vehicles in the world. Primarily used to transport space shuttles from 1981 to 2011, in order to operate, they require the use of 30 engineers and technicians and drivers in order to reach the launch site, making it a mission in and of itself to use them. Regardless, considering how important they are to NASA's space program, I doubt they'll be replacing them anytime soon. Number 12. Antonov AN-225 Mriya. Transporting rockets is certainly a tough task, and generally speaking, they can only be safely moved on land. However, the Antonov AN-225 Mriya challenged this assumption due to the fact that it can transport its cargo by air. More specifically, it first took flight in 1988 with the express purpose of transporting Buran-class orbiters made by the Soviet Union. With a length of 83 meters, a weight of 285 tons, and a wingspan of about 88 meters, and a cargo space large enough to hold 50 cars, it used to hold several records, including the record for being the heaviest aircraft ever built, and for having the largest wingspan of any aircraft in operational service. However, after the fall of the Soviet Union, it was used for cargo transport in and out of Ukraine. Although this all ended abruptly on April 24th of 2022, that's because it was on this date that while sitting in an airfield near Kyiv, the one and only Antonov AN-225 Mriya in existence was destroyed after the airfield was attacked by Russian soldiers. So, unless a new one is built, this massive vehicle will one day fade into obscurity as merely a distant memory. Hopefully not. Number 11. The American Dream. I think you'd agree that it's the dream of many American immigrants to one day be driven around in a limousine, and the American Dream limo makes this desire larger than life. Coming in at just under 30 meters long, it's approximately 10 times longer than a standard limousine, making it an absolute monstrosity. In terms of its interior, it can not only fit a total of 75 passengers, but also has some luxury inclusions, such as a large waterbed, a swimming pool, a diving board, a jacuzzi, a bathtub, a mini golf course, several television sets, a refrigerator, and even a helipad. While all of these features have to be jam-packed to fit inside the limo, they're all functional, and the whole thing came into existence thanks to the efforts of a certain J. Orberg, built in Burbank, California back in 1986. It took a total of 6 Eldorado limousines stacked together in order to make it, and while this has been updated since its original build, it still has its 1970s and 80s-esque charm. So I definitely wouldn't pass up a chance to take a ride in this thing if ever given the opportunity. That'd be awesome. Number 10. Allure of the Seas. Nothing is quite like going on a cruise, yet the cruise ship that comes out ahead of all of its competition is Royal Caribbean's Wonder of the Seas. Completed in 2022, it's just slightly larger than all of the other mega cruise ships in its class, and it has a length of just over 362 meters, a weight of nearly 237,000 tons, and the ability to hold nearly 7,000 passengers at any one time. Now, what sets this massive ship apart is that it's essentially a floating city, as it not only has 20 restaurants and 4 pools, but also features 11 bars and lounges, an arcade, a laser tag area, a gym, a theater, a carousel, a casino, a mini golf center, and a zip line. With all of this and more being separated into 8 distinct communities, as you might expect, this amount of luxury makes both the Allure of the Seas and its sister ships quite attractive for vacation goers, although their size limits them from entering some ports. Regardless, there's still great choices for a fun and relaxing vacation, so I'd suggest considering a room on the Allure next time you're looking for a vacation destination. Number 9. The Yamato. World War II was easily one of the most famous conflicts in the past 200 years, and while there were plenty of fierce naval battles on the Pacific, the ship that outclassed almost every other was the battleship Yamato. Launched in 1940, it was the largest battleship to see action not just during World War II, but in the entirety of human history, as it weighed over 70,000 tons and had a grand total of 183 gun posts and 7 fighter planes on board, giving it far more firepower than most ships of its era. At the same time, it also had extremely thick armor that made it almost completely immune to torpedoes, giving it an extremely high survivability rate. During its time in service, it fought through major conflicts, such as the Battle of the Philippine Sea and the Battle of Leyte Gulf. Yet its ultimate downfall ended up being a suicide mission. Known as Operation Tengo, it was a mission to the island of Okinawa, where the boat was ordered to beach herself and fight until it was destroyed in a last effort to defend the island from the Allies. However, before it could reach Okinawa, it was heavily bombarded and sunk by Allied aircraft, ending its service earlier than planned. Number 8. Bigfoot 5. While monster trucks can do everything from front flips to massive jumps, each and every one is known for being extremely big. And while Gravedigger and Snakebite are some of the most famous in the industry, the truck that comes out on top for being the largest is Bigfoot 5. Now, it first got its start in 1975 after a man by the name of Bob Chandler decided to heavily modify his Ford F-250 pickup. By 1979, the modifications were so extensive that his vehicle came to be regarded as the first monster truck. And I'd say it's quite fitting that one of the largest monster trucks ever was in fact one of the first ones ever. Coming in at 15 feet 6 inches in length and sporting 10-foot tall tires, the truck is absolutely gigantic, while its weight of approximately 38,000 pounds makes it about as heavy as 3 bull African elephants. In order to move, it employs the help of 2 Duramax diesel engines, 2 transmissions, multiple transmission coolers, and a chain-driven drop box that's 3 feet thick and larger than an average pickup truck. To top this off, it has the horn off a decommissioned battleship and 12 30-inch travel shocks, making this impressive truck a true marvel of human engineering. Number 7. The Airbus A380. While the Boeing 737 may be one of the most well-known names in passenger aviation, the plane that takes the top spot in terms of size is actually the lesser-known Airbus A380. Trusted by major airlines and world leaders alike, it has quite the following, and it's not only one of the most important planes used by companies such as Qantas, the Emirates, and British Airways, but it's also the official plane used by the Saudi Arabian royal family. Now, in terms of dimensions, the Airbus A380 has a length of about 73 meters, a wingspan of about 80 meters, and a capacity to comfortably sit about 525 passengers, although at a maximum, it can seat a grand total of 853. First flown in 2005, they were made thanks to a $25 billion investment made by Airbus, although this sum was reportedly never recouped and a total of just 254 were made. Regardless, this plane is known for its size and reliability and is well loved for its innovative side-stick control and brake-to-vacate system. This is evidenced by the fact that collectively, these planes have flown over 800,000 flights carrying more than 300 million passengers since their entry into service. Given the fact that Airbus will continue to offer support surrounding these planes, despite the fact that production has ended, they will likely continue to be flown for the foreseeable future. Number 6. Hindenburg. The 1910s, 20s, and 30s were the heyday of the Zeppelin, yet it was the massive Hindenburg that managed to be both the largest Zeppelin ever and the one to lead the entire Zeppelin industry's demise. Known as a rigid airship, these vehicles were long, cylindrical airships that will remain inflated thanks to a set of air-filled cells. Due to their size and well-built design, they were both used as bombers during World War I and passenger vehicles both before and after the conflict. However, it was the Hindenburg that was the king of them all. Coming in at a length of 245 meters and going up to 135 kilometers per hour, it was believed to be the perfect vehicle for leisurely trips. However, it also had a pretty significant downside due to the fact that despite being designed to be filled with helium gas, the airship was filled with highly flammable hydrogen due to export restrictions by the United States against Nazi Germany. As a result, when the Hindenburg flew to the United States in May of 1936, poor climatic conditions and a gas leak essentially led to a giant explosion where the entire thing caught on fire. The end result was the complete destruction of the Zeppelin and the deaths of 36 people, and it was thanks to both this accident and countless others that Zeppelins in general quickly began to fall out of use. Number 5. The Prelude FLNG. Well, in the number 5 spot is the type of vehicle that you may not have realized was a vehicle at all. Known as an FLNG, or Floating Liquefied Natural Gas Platform, it does not regularly sail, but instead produces oil. However, due to it having the potential to transport large amounts of oil across large areas of ocean, it is in fact a vehicle. The Prelude FLNG is the largest one in existence. It is a double-hulled vessel that's built in South Korea in 2013, and it measures in at a length of about 490 meters, a gross tonnage of over 300,000 tons, and a deadweight tonnage of more than 600,000 tons. For reference, this is so large that it has 5 times the displacement of the United States' coveted Nimitz-class aircraft carriers, making them true monstrosities on the sea. It was constructed using over 260,000 tons of steel. This Prelude FLNG is moored into the seabed thanks to 16 steel spikes, with each spike being an incredibly large 65 meters long and 5.5 meters in diameter in order to do their job. However, while the Prelude FLNG is certainly successful, it also is and was quite the expense. In fact, ship analysts estimate that the Prelude cost nearly $12 billion to create, and Shell estimates that it cost $3.5 billion for it to produce 1 million tons of oil. However, as long as this oil remains profitable, I don't foresee Shell scrapping the vessel anytime soon. Number 4. A Dodge Power Wagon Replica. While it is certainly an exception, that's because it was commissioned by a certain Hamad bin Hamdan Al Nahyan, who was a wealthy man from Abu Dhabi that's most widely known as the Rainbow Sheik. He first received his nickname after buying 7 brand new Mercedes 500 SEL cars and got them painted the 7 colors of the rainbow. And it comes as no surprise that a man like him, with the tailgate of the car also having the ability to be lowered down to create a nice patio that overlooks the Abu Dhabi desert while driving through the area's famous sand dunes. So, I think it's pretty evident that this. Number 3. The Panzer VIII Maus tank. There have been some insane improvements in military technology in the last 50 or so years, but the developments of the World War II-era Panzer VIII Maus tank have stood the test of time. That's because despite being about 80 years old, this massive vehicle still holds the record for being the world's largest tank. Now, while the designs for this vehicle were technically finished in 1944 and a total of 5 were ordered, only a prototype, 2 hulls, and 1 turret were ever completed before the testing grounds were captured by advancing Soviet military forces. Despite this lack of field experience, the tank would have undoubtedly been pretty crazy. Designed with the intention of having it punch holes through enemy fortifications, it certainly had the size to be competent in this role, as the one complete prototype that was made measured in at 10 meters in length, 3 meters in width, and 3.6 meters in height, and had a total weight of 188 tons. Its main armament was a Krupp-designed 128mm gun, and by all accounts it was strong enough to destroy all Allied armor fighting vehicles in service at the time. However, the Mouse's main issue was that it was near impossible to develop an engine and drivetrain that was large enough to propel the tank, but small enough to fit inside the tank itself. While this was eventually achieved, it proved to be extremely difficult, and after the war, this unwieldy large tank concept was scrapped by the Allied powers. Number 2. The Belaz 757-10. Alright, it goes without saying that dump trucks are massive vehicles, but it turns out that the largest one on the planet doesn't come from the United States, Canada, or Western Europe, but of all places from Belarus. First coming into operation in October of 2014, this vehicle is absolutely massive. It comes in at 20.6 meters in length, 8.2 meters in height, and can carry up to 450 tons in one go. For reference, this means that the vehicle is about as long as 2 double-decker buses, it's about as high as 1.5 giraffes, and can lift about 75 fully grown African elephants. Now, this truck was first built in order to service Russian mining companies, and it's able to do its job effectively thanks to its extraordinary amount of power. More specifically, it has 8 wheels in pairs instead of the usual 6, and its 2 16-cylinder diesel engines that drive 4 electric motors dwarf the typical 4 or 6-cylinder engines that powers your average family car. In fact, the Belaz 757-10 derives so much power from its engine that its peak torque is about 24 times what a Formula 1 car's engine can manage. If that wasn't enough, its turning radius of about 20 meters is better than expected for a vehicle of its size, allowing it to work well in many different spaces. However, being this strong does have some drawbacks. After all, the Belaz 757-10's fuel consumption is an estimated 1,300 liters per 100 kilometers, and it cost about $6 million just to buy one. But when you consider the benefits, this Belaz purchase is a no-brainer for many large mining conglomerates. Number 1. Big Muskie. When it comes to moving rocks and dirt, a heavy-duty vehicle is a must, but when it comes to weight, nothing quite beats Big Muskie. That's because at a weight of 12,200 tons and a height of nearly 22 stories, it was one of the largest moving machines in the world at the time of its operation. Built by Bucyrus Erie, it took 340 rail cars and 260 trucks to ship all of its components, while it took a further 200,000 man-hours to construct the entire vehicle. However, after about 2 years of hard work and the modern equivalent of about $176 million in funding, it was finally completed, and at a length of 148 meters, width of 46 meters, and a height of 68 meters, it was absolutely massive. It first entered service with the Central Ohio Coal Company in 1969, where it began to dig 445 square kilometers, and in order to scoop out sediments, it had a 170 cubic meter bucket, which was large enough to hold 2 Greyhound buses side by side. In order to move around and dig dirt, it made use of 2 hydraulically driven walker feet that were powered by 18 1,000 horsepower and 10 625 horsepower electric motors. And this was so taxing that it used the energy equivalent of 27,000 houses. In any case, during its 22 years of service, Big Muskie removed more than twice the amount of earth that was moved during the construction of the Panama Canal, and uncovered over 20 million tons of Ohio brown coal. However, over time the public began to turn away from coal for energy, and by 1991 it was too expensive to justify its costs, which ultimately led to the machine's retirement. Thank you to our channel members.